Welcome to Diplomatic Channel this week. I am Amarachi Ubani. We're here at the Sandton Convention Center for the 25th African Union Summit holding in Sandton City, Johannesburg, South Africa. The theme for the summit is Women Empowerment and Development towards Agenda 2063. African leaders believe it's time to begin to plan for full development of the continent by the year 2063. So let's go inside and see how discussions turn out.
Including future generations.
Although the Executive Council will be hard at work all week preparing the agenda for the Assembly of Heads of State and Government, the opening ceremony of the African Union does not begin until the weekend, when all the presidents or heads of state will be present to attend.
But we also encourage.
This year's AU chairperson is the Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe. But since the summit is being held in South Africa, President Jacob Zuma has to welcome the leaders first, followed by the AU Commission chairperson, who happens to be South African also, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma.
The expectations from our people are high, and we cannot fail in the implementation of Agenda 2063 to redefine, lead and fund our own development and future. To realize our vision, we continue to support attempts to establish sustainable and predictable sources of funding for the African Union that will ensure less reliance on development partners for the implementation of our African projects and programs.
Let me start by welcoming and congratulating the presidents who are joining the summit for the first time after their elections. President Muhammadu Buhari of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Hage Geingob of the Republic of Namibia, President Filipe Nyusi of the Republic of Mozambique, and Prime Minister Pakalitha Motshekga of the Kingdom of Lesotho. Would also like to congratulate my Prime Minister, who is the Prime Minister in my home for the past 2.5 years, Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn of the and President Omar al-Bashir for their re-elections.
The week of the AU summit, it had been highly speculated that the Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir would be at the summit. Despite an ICC warrant for his arrest, a South African court in Pretoria had also ruled that the South African government must enforce the warrant. But when Dr. Dlamini Zuma announced a warm welcome for the controversial leader, there was no doubt he was in the room. And he was very comfortable too, according to the Sudanese Foreign Minister, Professor Ibrahim Ganda.
We are here as guests on the government of South Africa. Assurances has been made by that government that everybody here in this summit is immune.
President Bashir's presence at the summit was downplayed by leaders who said he had a right to be there. As a sitting head of state, they would give a more formal position on the issue later. Back to the opening ceremony, presided over by the AU chair, President Robert Mugabe, who commended the choice of the summit's theme, Women Empowerment and Development towards Agenda 2063. Not ever lost for words, President Mugabe extols the virtues of womanhood with anecdotes from man's existence and the creation of strong African states.
Women who yesteryear fought side by side with men are many in our various regions and various traditions. But today, as we fought, confronted by this deadly disease, Ebola, our colleague, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and the chairperson of the commission, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, among others, are trailblazers in this crusade. They are today's living testimonies of the achievements we have attained over the years in the area of women empowerment.
Beyond the jokes and rhetorics, the president has the burden of the continent's development on his mind.
While we celebrate the fact that Africa has 10 of the world's fastest growing economies, we have to ensure that this growth is sustainable and inclusive so that it makes a qualitative difference to the livelihoods of our people. This positive narrative of an Africa that is rising is, however, severely battered by the terrorist attacks against defenseless and innocent civilians.
Making his debut as participants at the continental meeting is Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. Extending his warm wishes to the South African government and the African Union, the president speaks on the one topic he holds close to his heart, Boko Haram's insurgency.
Our continent is currently bedeviled by the evils of terrorism, insurgency, poverty, youth unemployment, and underdevelopment. Added to this, the destructive effects of the inhuman and criminal campaigns of the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria and neighboring countries, the Al-Shabaab attacks in East Africa, as the activities of Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, all bear testimony to a continent under siege. Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, and colleagues, on our part, I was indeed on my assumption of office that the best approach would be to work within the framework of the Lake Chad Basin Commission.
Outside of the Santon Convention Center, where I'm preparing for Diplomatic Channel, I'm being watched rather interestingly by a couple. And after take after take after take, when I finally get my lines right and can go inside, they draw me into a conversation. They've lived in Sudan for 13 years, working through their NGO, the Sudan Support Network, more like a Christian organization that supports churches and Christians in the country. Lately, they were forced to return to their home in South Africa because the government expelled Christian organizations. Their interest is not in the argument to the media that al-Bashir should leave South Africa, but on the release of 2 South Sudanese pastors who were arrested in Khartoum and transferred to Koba prison ahead of a June 15 court hearing. Bernard and Irene Schwartz fear for the pastors' lives.
They are from Juba in the south. They went to Khartoum. They were arrested in January just for preaching the gospel. So we were standing here today just to pray for them and to pray for the persecuted church, but not just the persecuted church in Sudan, for persecuted minority groups in Sudan that are really finding it very difficult under an oppressive government. People from different people's groups there find it really difficult to get work. They find it very difficult. We all know about Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, and we're just asking that there will be a change in this repressive government in Sudan.
They have no placards, nor a group of supporters chanting behind them, but they hope that personal contacts like the one they had with me could touch the right influencers for their cause.